That's right. Cam Cook, who came over to West Virginia in a blockbuster transfer move this offseason, has been mentioned in ESPN and Sports Illustrated as a Doak Award finalist last year. But what about this year?
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host here. Welcome back in the Locked On West Virginia, baby, where we're talking Mountaineer football again today, and we're glad to be doing so. Thank you so much for being here. As always, you guys do a terrific job supporting the show, and I just can't thank you enough for that. Obviously, we're, in the throes of the offseason right now, and you guys have continued to help make Locked On West Virginia one of the best performing shows at Locked On. And that's a very exciting thing. It's a very exciting prospect we want to continue to do that. Thanks for making us your first listen today, guys. It's going to be brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Right now with 5 Hour Energy, have your cake and drink it too, because they've got birthday cake. They've got a bunch of different new flavors, but you've got birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y, cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. And thanks for making us your first listen. As we say, guys, we will go ahead and get to the topics at hand because we've got a special guest. He is here. He is ready. He is the man, Troy from Mountaineer Moment.
What's up, brother? Locked On West Virginia After Dark edition. And let's do it.
Absolutely. So it's party time. That's right, Mr. John. It's party time. Obviously, guys, this is a topic that's probably going to be done at some point, this offseason again. We're going to talk about this a little bit more. Cam Cook, far and away one of the better additions in the offseason for West Virginia. And when you look at what he did last year, Troy, truly an astounding year on the ground.
Sure was. Almost 1,700 yards.
1,900 from scrimmage.
Yeah, 1,900 from scrimmage, 16 touchdowns on the ground, and carried it a few times, 295 carries for Cam Cook, the workhorse, and had an incredible season. Happy to have him as a Mountaineer, I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely. And when you start to look at some things around the preseason talk, if you will, you start to look at some of the early HEISMAN odds, the early Doak Walker Award odds. Colon Lacey comes to mind from Ole Miss, Justice Haynes from Alabama, L.J. Martin from BYU, Isaac Brown from Louisville, Ahmad Hardy from Missouri, and Mark Fletcher Jr. from Miami. I mean, there are a ton of running backs out there, but none had more yards than and also I don't even see Hawkins on there from Oklahoma State. That seems like a big snub too. Obviously these are just odds, right? These aren't, this is not ESPN or Sports Illustrated here. Where I got the ESPN and Sports Illustrated thing was, so, going back, ESPN reported that Cam Cook playing into the portal after leading the FBS in rushing with 1,659 and 16 touchdowns. And then they said that he was a semifinalist for the Doak Walker Award in 2025, which is given the top running back in the country. And then they also said he should be on official watch lists for 2026. That's from ESPN.com. That was on December 24th that they did that article. So, they profiled his year and talked about the future and how Rich Rod's offense could be. He could hit those numbers again if the offensive line is fixed. He was excluded, by the way, from finalists. That's insane to me to think that he didn't make the cut last year with the kind of year that he had. But, it's unfortunately the conference he plays in. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to look at like Sports Illustrated, it was either Sports Illustrated or Sports Illustrated adjacent. But it was about the article on Fan Nation. It was Fan Nation, I believe. Talked about him as one of the leading group of 5 running backs on the market with Power 4 interest. Then it went on to say, He led the FBS in rushing and touchdowns in 2025, much like the ESPN article. And then, then they also wrote about his move to the portal. And then finally, when he got to West Virginia, that's when they started talking a little bit more about next year for him. And he they go through all the checklists like most other teams. He led the nation in rushing. He was a Doak Walker Award semifinalist, just like ESPN noted. Obviously highly productive and one of the best Power 4 ready backs in the country,
Right.
In the portal. And then also speculated that he should be on a Doak Walker top 10 list in the future. They're just projecting that. So obviously, these are both speculating, right? That he's going to be on some kind of list for this. So my question to you is, and this is kind of where I want to get to with this conversation is, there's speculation he may be Doak Walker. Let me tell you this right now. If he has a year like last year at West Virginia this year, he'll be more than Doak Walker. He'll be getting Heisman buzz if we win enough games. Yeah. Do you think there's a path to, because when you look at this roster, Troy, it's Cam Cook and then it's who? Martavius.
Right.
Well, he's from junior college. You
Right.
want Mari Latimer? He's from high school. Christopher
Right.
Kelly from high school. You want to go Caden Luke? He's from Arizona. He's a fullback. There is no solidified number 2 running back on this roster. I imagine there will be. I have a lot of faith in some of those guys, but Cam Cook could be getting fed the heck out of the ball early and often.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the most encouraging things that comes from all of his unbelievable numbers last season, to me, the number that is most important or significant maybe to a West Virginia fan today is that 295 carries, which was 3rd best in the nation. So that tells us, well,
he's able to take
someone
it.
that can tote the rock a lot. And as you just mentioned, we very well, especially early on in the season, could be a team that's in need of that. And so, and we haven't seen a true workhorse since who?
Probably Letty Brown.
Right.
Letty Brown, probably one of Neil's first years.
Yep. And so I think that, that's an important number given the fact that there's a lot of unprovenness to who's going to be joining him in the backfield. Not to say, like you're saying, too, that they can't burst onto the scene, prove themselves to be a true number 2 and really have themselves a heck of a year. But 295 carries last year at Jack State is a welcome sign for a guy that very well could be, and I don't think anyone would be shocked if he was, the real focal point of this Mountaineer offense.
Absolutely. And when you look at what he does well on the field, this is not a knock against him. He doesn't have elite speed. He's just got very good speed. He doesn't have elite power. He's got very good power. He's just such a well-rounded player. He's elusive. He does everything that a running back could do. He's a great receiver out of the backfield. He's elusive in the open field. He's a great zone read kind of running back because he's great at cutting it back against the grain and finding space. And, he reminds me of Le'Veon Bell a little bit with his patience. If you watch him behind the line of scrimmage, he is back there trying to figure out what hole to hit for a minute. And then when he decides to take off, his acceleration is really good. I think that's what makes him so tough is he Tavon Austin in the open field? No. Is he CJ Donaldson trying to move the pile? Probably not. But he is variations of all those and capable of any on any given play. And that's what I like about him. And when you look at some of the stuff he did at Jacksonville State last year, he was very good, obviously in the open field. And as you can see, he just makes these quick, shifty movements in the open field that makes him really tough to tackle. And it's like that right there. Those little open field moves, it's not Barry Sanders necessarily, but you'll see he'll bounce off tackles. He runs through them. There's a play here in a minute where he literally falls down somehow and stays up. I don't know how – right here. There it is. Yeah. I don't know how the heck he stayed up right there. But that's an incredible run. And then you see when it comes down to get into the red zone area, he is tough to bring down for his size. He's only 5'9", $185, $190 on a good day. And he doesn't run that way. And look at him. He's got that chip on his shoulder. And I love his game. I truly do. I think there's so much about it that jails with what Rich Rod does, and he's got elite conditioning. That's another thing we probably should mention with him. And last year they ran Rich Rod's offense because Coach Kelly was smart enough to realize this roster is ready built to run an up-tempo style RPO system. Why break it if it's not broken? And that's what they did last year, Jacksonville State. And so Cam Cook was the beneficiary of that. And, he's one of those guys, man. Like, you look at him in the open field, like I said, this is some high school tape. He looks exactly the same. He's just one of those guys, and he erases mistakes. But, yeah, I like him to be, I'm going to say, a top 3 in the Big 12 rusher this year. It's going to be tough to beat LJ Martin out this year as much as he gets the rock. But, he actually, I wouldn't be surprised if he finished first, only just by sheer number of carries, because, BYU runs it a lot. I say they're probably a 65% run team, somewhere in there. I don't know if they plan on, giving Bear a little bit more throwing this year. Mm-hmm. If West Virginia starts Mike Hawkins Jr., what an interesting dynamic that's going to be for these two, right? Because as a running team, obviously with the thing about, here's my thoughts on this, and then we'll kind of throw it back to you. But I think for Cam Hawkins or for Cam Cook, it might be better for Mike Hawkins to start, only because he's such a running threat. No team is going to be able to key on Cam Cook with Mike Hawkins back there, because as soon as Mike Hawkins pulls that thing and people aren't respecting his game, he's going to take off like Pat White used to. And obviously Cam Cook, that means you can't key on him quite the same as you could maybe if a guy like Scotty Fox is back there. Right. But then Scotty Fox gives you the passing elements. Obviously Mike Hawkins does too. I'm not saying he can't pass, but that's just what Scotty's going to be better at, passing. So he can run it, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, You really have to worry about Mike Hawkins Jr. as a runner. So just looking at it from a Cam Cook perspective, maybe Mike Hawkins is the better fit for you.
Could be. And, it just – the one that, like, straight off the top without taking too much into consideration, that's like, man, that would be a really enticing thing to watch out of the backfield, would be Hawkins and Cam Cook together. That obviously has the opportunity to be something very, very special. Not that Scotty Fox can't, again, like you're saying too, but with Mike's ability to run, whew, man, that would be a 1-2 punch. That I think you hit the nail on the head as far as keying in on Cam Cook. You can't key on him as much with Mike Hawkins in the backfield with him as a threat.
He's a 4-3 guy. I mean,
yeah.
When's the last time we had a 4-3 guy at quarterback?
Can't teach that.
Even if he's 4-4, when's the last time we had that?
Can't teach speed.
We can't do no better, right? Don't let me go multiple personality on you guys during the middle of the show here. I was doing it to Troy before we came on.
Yes, he was.
We'll go to break on this. We'll come back, and we got to talk about something important here, because, we were going to talk about who's number 2, and we can still talk about that at running back, who would be the great fit behind. But something popped out from Dennis Dodd not long ago, and it's about college football as a whole and how the SEC and company have kind of gotten involved with his SAFE Act. We need to talk about that next. And Troy, I know I'm hitting you with this out of left field, so while I'm doing these ad reads, if you want to, you can maybe get yourself caught up really quick. But we'll be right back, guys, after the break. Guys, this episode is going to be brought to you by our friends at We Love Talking About It, and we know that you guys love hearing about it. Our friends from FanDuel. And right now with FanDuel, we always usually like to say $5 is going to make you come holla. But on this one, that's not the case. FanDuel is killing it and crushing the game right now, because they're giving you the chance of all chances. Here's what they're going to do. Right now, FanDuel is giving you every opportunity to crush the game. And if you love college basketball, now is your time, right? Or NBA basketball, I should say. If you've ever seen the NBA Finals live and in person, FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. And here's how it works. You can use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience is there for you. If you're already looking at the board and you're already thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. And visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Use your profit boost on the NBA future. Get entered for your shot to win a chance to the finals today, and play your game with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. South Carolina rolled past Ole Miss 85-48 to clinch a share of the SEC regular season title and lock down the number 1 seed in the conference tournament. The Gamecocks extended their win streak over Ole Miss to 21 straight. UCLA dominated Wisconsin 80-60 to secure its first outright Big Ten regular season championship in program history. The Bruins improved to 27-1 overall and remain unbeaten in conference play. And number 12 TCU stormed back from a 13-point fourth quarter deficit to beat Iowa State 80-73. The Horned Frogs now sit alone atop the Big 12 standings and are 1 win away from clinching another regular season conference crown. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
And it's segment 2, and it's time for a coffee. What is this thing I'm drinking here?
Whatever the heck that is.
It's segment 2. It's time for a cold brew.
That works.
And that works. This cold brew is for you, Troy. Tell everybody where you're at, what you're doing, what you can, all that good stuff.
Well, where I'm at is Long Island, New York, under 2 feet of snow. What I'm doing is just doing a lot of shoveling lately, and also making West Virginia content over on Mountaineer Moment all throughout West Virginia football and basketball season. So come check us out.
This magic moment.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna start singing that.
That was. Yeah.
I'm gonna start singing the song they sing in the at the end of the March Madness.
Yes.
What's that song? What's the name of that song?
Moment.
One shining moment. Yeah.
It's almost March, baby.
Shining moment. All right. So
you got range. You got just not like range in your singing voice. Range of characters. You got range.
Right. Yeah. I can be Louis Lavender.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
There's some interesting things going on in college football right now, and I don't understand all of it, but at the end of the day, here's my 30,000-foot view of what's happening, okay? Obviously, college football makes tons of money, but it's really split up, right? There are 136 top-level FBS teams in different conferences, obviously, right? So each conference makes its own separate TV deals, as we know, with networks, and then that billions are brought into the different conferences. All conferences are not equal, and but what most people can agree on is that it's undervalued, and that means college football could make way more money if everything was bundled together like the NFL. So right now, conferences get the most cash, but the smaller ones get less. Big conferences get more, smaller ones get less, and obviously that's just how it rolls. Costs are rising fast as well, right? Because paying athletes via NIL deals, huge lawsuit settlements are happening every year, it seems, which require revenue sharing with players. And now you've got Cody Campbell coming into the fray, wanting to change the sport. There's old law from 1961 which blocks big changes from happening. The Sports Broadcasters Act, the SBA of 1961, lets pro leagues like the NFL, the NBA, etc., pull all their teams together into TV rights into one giant deal without any antitrust problems, right? Because there's no monopoly. But college teams don't get that same protection because when they made this, they didn't think that there would ever be paying players. So why would we have to worry about that? So now the conferences can't legally combine all 136 teams together. into one massive package, which would actually be better for everybody, believe it or not. So, Cody Campbell is obviously the Texas Tech booster billionaire who kind of acts like the owner of their program at Texas Tech. And he has started a group called Saving College Sports. He says the current system is broken and leaves billions on the table. And let's change it, right? Change the 61 law so all FBS teams can pull together their media rights into one entity/deal. So what would that mean? Well, this would make a huge bundle that you could sell to TV and streaming companies, and it would make a ton of money. It would make so much money, it's ridiculous. Probably $7 billion extra per decade, according to Campbell. That extra cash could fund minor sports like swimming and wrestling that often get cut nowadays and help women's sports, support U.S. Olympic athletes, and many other forms in college programs. But there's a Democrat-backed bill in Congress called the SAFE Act that would do exactly this. It would amend the old law, add antitrust protection, create a federal oversight body for the contracts and the scheduling. And so guess who's fighting this?
Who's fighting it?
The SEC and the Big Ten, of course, right? The two richest conferences don't want to share. They don't like the idea because it would reduce their control and power. That's flat out what it is. They've paid a consulting firm, FTI Consulting, to do a study and released a white paper, which is what they call, it's basically a really detailed report saying pooling is dangerously unworkable and wouldn't make more money. It would probably make less. Their main arguments are big brands like SEC and Big Ten games lose value when mixed with smaller ones. Unwinding the current long-term TV contracts would take years as well and would be a mess. And history shows splitting up rights, because there was a 1984 court case that ended the old NCAA control, actually grew revenue a lot over time, which means basically they're saying pulling risks, hurting rivalries and scheduling in the unique field of college sports, which is laughable to me that they would even bring that up. The big pushback is because federal government is getting involved now as well. The white paper came out right after the news broke in late February, showing there's probably some real worry here. The FCC could get involved because they put out a public notice asking for comments on sports broadcasting changes. There's the shift to paywall streaming and how it affects fans' access as well going on with cord cutting. And so this could open bigger doors for reform like pooling. But President Trump has been hosting a major White House college sports roundtable. That'll happen on March 6th. You know, they're going to be big names: conference commissioners, Tiger Woods, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, ESPN and Fox executives. Cody Campbell's going to be there. Ron DeSantis is going to be there. And they're going to be talking about big issues in college athletics with NIL, revenue structure, and the summit of power, where ideas can get hashed out. So basically, this is broadening it out. Conferences, current TV deals are locked in for years until 2030, as you know, and they can't really negotiate soon for more cash. But private equity firms want in, right? So, and obviously the Big 12 has explored that. Utah's explored that with a $500 million deal we saw. So experts say college football is at a fork in the road where basically these private equity deals are going to be used because, and all this, that means pieces of universities are going to be sold away because teams can't keep up. That's where we're at with it. So you keep the current setup, or you go to a more centralized pro-like centric model to kind of capture more money. But power conferences keep pushing for their own federal antitrust exemption here to kind of cap athlete pay, which is similar to government control that they criticize in the SAFE Act, So it's like they're hypocrites. It's just ridiculous. I think the bottom line, Troy, is this is a fight over billions of dollars in TV money, and who controls it. It's all about greed. Campbell and the SAFE Act wants one big pool deal to help everyone, especially the Olympic sports and the small schools. The SEC and Big Ten want to keep their separate dominant deals, and federal moves. The federal part of this, the FCC and Trump, their involvement makes it feel like it could be more likely. But at the end of the day, I think the big conferences are pushing back because they just see real momentum and the threat to their power. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, that's the nail on the head. Threat to their power, right? If it ain't broken for them, why fix it for anybody else? Why not just keep doing what we're doing and keep thriving and keep getting richer? The whole time as you were explaining that to me, and again, it was my first time really hearing of this. I might have saw an article or
Was
something.
it too? Did
Glanced
I not
over it.
explain it well?
No, it's good. I mean, I have a little pea-sized mind, so I'm trying to fight through it myself here. But like the whole time you're saying that, what you're saying, I just keep going back to like, man, we've had so many different like messes in college athletics over the last handful of years, and this to me just sounds like another one. Like it sounds like an uphill battle if for Campbell and company to get that thing really moving. In theory, it might be like a good idea, and
The fact that it's
wins,
Democrat
that
back too makes me wonder about like it should be as partisan as a thing as there is.
Yeah,
But that is the fact that it's Democrat backed makes me wonder if Trump is going to accept it at all.
that too. And then, well, is the SEC and Big Ten like their argument against? I mean, obviously we know because of
They're just saying the product's
the
going to get
deals that
diluted.
they have, but are they saying too like that ain't going to work anyway? Like, is that
Well,
part of their push?
they had a consulting firm that looked at what the SAFE Act was proposing, and it's just the same thing as like, let's say I'm have you in court for something, you bring your expert witness to the stand that backs what you say. I bring my expert witness to the stand that backs what I say. The court has an expert witness that who knows which way it'll go, right? So
Right.
I think this is similar to that. It's my analogy in my head, how it's working is the SEC and then brought their expert witness in, and of course it agrees with what they want. Cody Campbell, I do believe, has college sports in mind here. I don't talk about my public beliefs, my political beliefs on here at all very often. I mean, if you watch me long enough, you could probably know which way that I lean. But, at the end of the day, I don't care if this is Republican or Democrat led. I think this is the way it goes. But, I always like to check my motives and ask myself, if I were in the SEC or the Big Ten, would I want this? I already have a seat. I don't know how I'd respond if I just being honest, if I had a seat at the table, I don't know how I would respond to this. I keep trying to ask myself that because I don't want to come off like a fake,
Right.
But,
well, and it's hard to really truly put yourself in that category and in those shoes if you're not there, right? And that's a really, really fair point that you're bringing up because I would say this, if you were to fall into the Campbell side of things, even if you were in an SEC or Big Ten shoe right now, that would be a hard journey to get to that side to say, all right, I'm in. I do think it would be difficult. I do think a team could do it, but it would be hard to do that.
Because you've got it made and this could screw everything up, right?
Right.
It's like,
so,
and then once everything's screwed up, that means everybody would be back to square zero. And then who knows what the conferences would be beyond that, right?
mm-hmm.
But at least if I were a West Virginia fan and I was in right now, like let's say I'm Rutgers.
Right.
I'm the worst, one of the worst teams in all of sports and two main sports, although they've gotten better. And we go down this road, in 2030, we decide to pull everybody together and it's not good. It doesn't work. Then what happens whenever we go back to the drawing board? Do you think that the Big Ten is going to be like, okay, we're going to take this dead weight again? No, no, they're not.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be, they're going to consolidate the power wherever at that point, it's going to go back to probably the way it's heading now, but at a lighter, faster speed. I don't know. It's part of me.
It's so chaotic sounding that it's like, oh, that could never happen. But then you look and it's like, look at what's happened over the last few years as to how chaotic this NCAA and conference realignment and all of those things have been. California, the University of California is in the ACC. Like, if that can happen, anything can happen in the world of college athletics today. Like that, it just, nothing makes sense anymore. And so why would this, my initial thought is it's too chaotic, doesn't make any sense for it to work. But then my pushback to my own thinking in that is everything else is chaotic. Why can't this be chaotic and also play out too?
Agreed. I'm with you on it. Like at the end of the day, like I said, I just want everybody to be involved. I really do. I'm not trying to be just West Virginia centric here, but I don't know how we get there. I don't know what that looks like. I just know that here's another thing I wonder about too. If you truly did, let's say Oklahoma State, Baylor, NC State, teams like that, West Virginia even, were left out. Let's say they did cut us out. Do you really think that the states, the governors, the senators, and everybody involved with them would let that actually happen? That's where I keep going to. Like, if they actually try to get to a point where they're cutting us out totally, like we're group of 5 now or whatever.
Yeah.
They're playing for something else. We don't have a chance to play. Like, part of me wonders if that would actually, like, it would get messy, man. I don't think it would just be, there's no way. Like, I would run. I would probably, that's something I would riot. Like, I would riot over. I would protest over. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. No,
Yeah.
You can't play for anything in football anymore. No, like, it would be a really hard pill for some people to accept.
And that's your biggest fear.
It's
right?
my biggest fear. Yeah.
You said
it
it.
is
Right?
my biggest fear.
I'm not quoting you. I'm not misquoting you. That's
no, it's literally
thing.
my biggest fear. Yeah. Not even dying is worse. Yeah.
That's because you're a mountaineer through and through.
Yeah.
Also,
there's no
just
doubt.
the concept of like the rich getting richer. I constantly think about, I don't know how much, I really truly don't know how much you follow the MLB, but I know you're aware of the Dodgers and their payroll and the rich getting richer and how much money they spend. I just looked it up for like a reference of, because it kind of sort of similar, not really relates, but their payroll 2026 is $390 million. That's obviously number 1 in the league. Last in the league is the Marlins at $78 million. I mean, think about the difference.
At least they have contracts and not a team and not the portal in baseball, though. Yeah. So that means the team like, Kansas City can get good every now and then, or a team like the Reds can get good every now
Pirates,
and again.
Baby.
Or the Pirates. Small market teams have at least a chance, even against these big payrolls, if you do certain things right? It's the same thing as if you develop a roster over 4 years and all that, you got a chance to be good, right? The same thing as like if your farm system is elite, like the Royals was there for a little while, or like other teams have been, in the past, you can, St. Louis, I think of St. Louis when I think of farm systems. Yeah. You've got a shot to be good, right? It's not always easier. That obviously you'd rather just have the money, but we got to get to break here. One more break, and then we'll put a bow on this one with Troy for a Mountaineer moment. All right, guys, we're talking about our friends from Coast today, and Coast is something that's pretty cool right now. If you're not sure what it is, let's explain. Right now with Coast, y'all, they're paying and giving Locked On listeners up to $2,000 credit for your business when you get started today. If you manage a crew, construction, HVAC, landscaping, or any operation with trucks on the road, you already know how messy gas and material spending can get. Cards get shared, receipts disappear, month end turns into headache, cost and Coast are all over the place. Pay fixes all of that, right? Coast Pay can fix it. Coast Pay is the modern fuel card and expense management tool built specifically for fleets. Fuel, maintenance, materials all in one card with real control and instant visibility. Here's how it works. Every transaction shows up the moment it happens. No surprises. If someone fuels up in an odd time or tries to buy something outside their limit, you're going to know instantly. So there are real-time alerts, so you always know who's spending what and where. Their automatic receipt capture makes the month end simple. Fraud protection with employee check-ins by text, no shared pins, and work anywhere visas are accepted, no detours for specific stations. It's built for operators who don't have time to chase the paperwork. And unlike old fuel cards, there are no contracts or commitments, just smarter expense control. Right now, Coast Pay is offering our listeners up to $2,000 credit when you get started at coastpay.com/lockedoncollege. Go to coastpay.com/lockedoncollege to see how you earn up to $2,000 credit, where the terms apply. Coast Visa commercial credit card is issued by Celtic Bank. All card accounts are subject to credit approval. Segment 3, come along with me as we talk with Troy from Mountaineer Moment, even on TV. I was thinking about the Everywhere You Look song. Everywhere you look, even on TV. Yeah, or even MTV. That's what he says. All right. So, obviously, like we said, pretty cool show today. Appreciate you guys for showing up. We'll spend 2 minutes on RB number 2, Troy. I'll give you options. I'll give you 3 or 4 options here.
Yeah.
You've got Christopher Talley, who ESPN has mentioned in 2 separate articles as their big underdog in all the country. This is not a lie. They're a big underdog in all of the country. Christopher Talley is a freshman. They love him at West Virginia. Amari Latimer, obviously the highest rated freshman running back we brought in a while, and is an immense talent. And then you've got Martavius Boswell, who is a Tavon-esque skill set, shall we say. I'm not saying that he's anywhere near going to be Tavon, but like that's what he looks like out there at junior college level. Yeah. So, just an elite speed guy with a ton of receiving ability. Because Tavon Austin was a running back in high school. Right. So he kind of reminds me of Tavon in some ways. And those are your guys. Who you got?
To me, it's Amari. Obviously we know all of those guys, with their health are going to get action. But to me, it's Amari. I'm super excited of anyone in the backfield, Cam Cook included, right? Because we've seen him on tape. We know what he can do at this level. But Amari Latimer, man, I am super pumped. I mean, that was a huge get. I remember, you and I had talked that day. Maybe we recorded that day when we got him. Big get, and pumped to have him as a Mountaineer. I think he's going to have a great season.
And then he came on the show. What a great kid. What a great family, and trying to get his brother on. But I think they need to get through winter workouts first before they'll do any appearances. But yeah, I'm with you. I think my heart's with Amari too. So that's probably shifting it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not as objective as I probably once was because Amari came on the show and I got to meet him and his family. Amazing family. I mean, his mom, like it just reminded me of my mom because, I grew up in a family that's like where affection is not a big deal. Like, we give each other hugs. We tell each other we love each other, that whole thing. And his mom was just sitting there rubbing his back and, while he was doing that interview, just so nurturing, you could just see. I just fell in love with the family. I really did. I really enjoyed talking with them all.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think too, just a quick point on the running back situation is, so I just looked at, Jack State's numbers last season. Obviously, Caden Creel went over 1,000 yards at the quarterback position, but 295 carries for Cam Cook. The next closest running back was Christian Lando at 51 carries. So just obviously that's
he's used to being the dude, right?
Yeah, that's going to be something to monitor is, well, let's say Cam Cook is the dude. Maybe he's not going to get 295, but he's going to get a lot. What is it going to look like with those other guys and how many opportunities are they going to get out of the backfield?
And then how well they play, I think in, the Big 12 specifically, Cam Cook is really good at a lot of things. But, like I said, is he elite at any one thing? I don't know. He's just really good. Like, to me, Cam Cook is a guy that he's just so good at everything. Like I've said it before, he's so well-rounded. So really, really glad he's our running back. I think he's perfect for Rich Rod's system. By the way, I said this before, but his stamina is truly what sets him apart. Cam Cook has elite stamina, which is why he had so many carries. My biggest criticism of Jaheim White, and I'm not trying to talk about, Jaheim now that he's gone like this, because Jaheim was very good to me. He was always very responsive and spoke to me over the years. But, my biggest gripe with him was he would get 2 back-to-back big runs, and then I would see him tapping to come out. With Rich Rod, you just can't do that. And, which is why I say with Jaheim, I don't think he's a feature back. I think he's he's a third down type back, maybe or a second back in an offense. He can be your starter, but he's not a guy you can give the ball to 7 or 8 times in a row. He's just not.
Right.
At least he hasn't proven to be that yet. And he put on that muscle on. I think that hurt that too. But yeah, hopefully Cam, and I hope, and I hope he runs for 1 billion yards at North Texas this year. What a shocker.
Yeah,
I mean,
too.
my boss was texting me like, yeah, we're told he's coming to Auburn. We're stoked. Like they wanted him. And he went to North Texas to go back with Neely B.
Yep.
So like what a shock that was, because he could have went to Power 4.
Oh,
Believe
yeah,
me.
absolutely.
He
Oh,
would have went
absolutely.
Power 4. They must have paid him pretty well.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope he has an amazing year too. I mean,
there's no reason to root against the guy. I mean, some people are.
Yep.
I've seen it out there.
I think, just the point on the well-roundedness of Cam Cook, there's what that tells me, obviously, is there's not going to be a situation on the football field where you're like, I don't think I want Cam Cook out there right now. And there hasn't
maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it yet because I have to go back and study it, but it seemed like against really big guys, he struggled in pass pro, but I need to go back and look at that again to make sure I'm right or wrong on that. But I don't, he definitely stick his nose in there like he will.
Yeah.
But, just his size. He's 5'9", he's 5'10", it's just when you're that size. I mean, I'd say Caden Luke will probably be a better option for that, but we'll see, guys. Thanks for being here with us. You guys are amazing. Jack Dans comes in here every time we talk about running backs, talk about Boswell. He thinks Boswell is going to be I've seen him predict him. He's going to run for like 2,000 yards multiple times now. Hey, look, if he does, I'll be happy to see it. Love to see it. He's got 2 years left too. Yeah, love to. Wouldn't that be cool if we had a 1,700 yard rusher and he came back next year? It'd be so cool. Thanks for being here, y'all. We will be back tomorrow, obviously, to talk more West Virginia sports on Mountaineer Moment and here at Locked On West Virginia. Before you go, guys, the Locked On Everydayer Club is something that's very important. If you're still watching the show now, then obviously the Everydayer Club is something that should be something you check out. Locked On Podcasts with an S.com/Everydayer Club. Check it out now. It's well worth the time. You get ad-free audio. You get a ton of other stuff in that. Obviously you get a members-only Discord. There's a ton that goes into it. It's only $5. It's so worth it. Check it out, and we'll see you on the next one here at Locked On West Virginia. Thanks for making us your first listen every day, and don't forget to cue those country roads. Good night.